Good morning, everyone. Up before the sun. We might even see a sunrise as we talk today. But I'm Katie. I'm super excited to be here. Fill your cup. I have hot coffee. I have no lizards. I'm not locked out of my house. It is a good morning. And y'all, I am so pumped to talk about what we are getting into, because this is my area of expertise. This is where I shine, and this is what gets me out of bed in the morning. So I'm super excited. Let's jump into it. Lights, camera, action. We are about to get off the flipping couch. How exciting is that? So what does action mean? It's the fact or process of doing something, typically to achieve an aim. I like to call an aim a goal, a command to begin, a thing done or an act, and a gesture of movement. So this is all about the momentum. And yeah, it's action time, guys. It is time to step out and start making these goals happen. And that's awesome. So I started thinking, we've done the mental work. We've identified the 5 ingredients of happiness. You're living your truth, or identified your truth. You've got your purpose. You've got your why. We are ready. We are ready. So where do we start? Well, first we've got to identify our strengths. And strength management is something I am so passionate about. And I am so fortunate in my career to have so much training and education and development in it. I don't really need my notes. I took a bunch of notes to keep us on track. But I don't really need to look at my notes when it comes to talking about strength management and why it's important. And I think once you get the hang of it, you're going to feel so much better, because it is so much easier and healthier to live in our strengths every day than to be constantly thinking about what we don't do good, what we don't want to do, and what depletes us. So when you're living in your strengths, you are really engaged and you are getting a personal emotional payoff from leveraging those strengths on a daily basis. So we do have to be aware of our weaknesses. We're not going to talk about weaknesses for a little while. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll talk about the weaknesses eventually. But today is about strengths. So what is the definition of strength? And what are we talking about specifically? Because strength has a lot of definitions. But most importantly, I want to dig into the quality or state of being physically strong, the influence or power possessed by a person, the capacity of an object or substance to withstand great force or pressure, the emotional or mental qualities necessary in dealing with situation or events that are distressing or difficult. And then one more element of strength, a good or beneficial quality or attribute of a person or thing. So I think we generally think about strength as that last definition when it comes to ourselves, a good or beneficial quality or attribute. But I love the capacity of an object to withstand great force or pressure, because as we step into achieving these goals, you are going to need to know your strengths and rely on them, because this is going to get hard and you've got to be in tune to yourself. And then the influence or power possessed by a person, that is strength. When you're living in that, you feel powerful and connected all the time. So we need to do more of what we're good at. I like to think of strengths as my natural God-given talent and ability, the things that God gave me that only I can do, that I feel best at, that I feel the most energized when I'm living in, and that serve my purpose. And wouldn't you rather focus on all the good you do and all the things you do well than constantly be thinking about all the things that you aren't, or that you should be, or that you're not good at, and trying to fix what's broken? Trying to fix what's broken is hard. Doing what we do well and getting even better at that is so much more rewarding. It doesn't mean we're not going to work on building a strong skill set so we're well-rounded people, but living in your strengths is about identifying what activities and what things make you happy, and where you're naturally competent at and what you naturally exceed at. So if you know you're more inclined to succeed in something, you're going to be more inclined to do it. So one of my favorite authorities on strength management is Marcus Buckingham. And this is one of my favorite books. Go Put Your Strengths to Work. So this is really great. If this is a new exercise for you, really thinking about your strengths and identifying those areas, I really do recommend taking an online strengths test. It's different than a personality test because our personalities are sort of who we are, but a strengths and weakness test helps you identify the areas that you naturally excel in. And there's a difference. So I do recommend that. His books, this is the third one in his series on strength management, are so helpful. So you do need to do some work. We're doing a little bit more work, always work in this, but this should be fun because you're talking about yourself, you're thinking about yourself, and you're thinking about what you do good at. So those are all fun, positive things. So why is leveraging your strengths important? Because when you're doing things you're good at, you're more happy, and you have a tendency to do it more, repetition. So how do we start identifying our strengths? I would start with a list. Think about all the activities that make you happy. Think about all the things you do that you feel like you do well, that you're proud of. It can be something small, it can be something big, but really get creative. This should not be easy either, because it's so much easier to identify all the things we don't do or all the things we're not good at than to really invest the time into thinking about where we shine and what makes us feel good and where we get payoffs emotionally from in our daily lives. And you should get yourself, if you can't think of 10 things, you need to put more time into it. I really think you should have at least 20 things on that list. At least. Because this really needs to be a big list of things that make you happy. And when you do them, you feel good about yourself. You feel like you're excelling. Get creative too, and just think about all the little moments that bring you joy throughout the day. Really, really get specific. We're learning to condition our brains to focus on the right versus focusing on the wrong or the broken. So as you compose your list, I want you to think about some of the bigger context behind what those activities mean. And I don't expect anyone to be able to talk as fluidly as I can talk about strengths and strength management and my strengths, because I have had years of practice and years of investment in myself by great mentors and great leaders in this. So I'll give you an example of one of my strengths. I love to cook. I love to cook. And I love to feed other people. And I love to watch them enjoy what I've created. And that gives me a payoff. And I love the sense of community that it gives me to have my friends and my family in my home, around my dinner table. Like, there's such a payoff there for me because I love to take care of people. And that's a strength for me. I get a huge payoff when I'm taking care of others. But I never thought about my love and passion for cooking. And I happen to be a great cook, so it turns out well for everyone. But I never thought about the real motivation and the real payoff that I get when I cook and why I cook and what motivates me to cook. I also do extremely well in emergency situations. I remain really cool, really calm, and really collected because I'm a natural problem solver. I identify problems, I immediately create solutions, and then I take action on them. I don't get caught up in the emotion of a situation. So those are things that cater to my strengths, and not that I like being in emergency situations, but I feel very confident and calm in taking the lead and helping navigate others through what are we going to do next, or what is the problem, without getting angry or upset or stressed out over it. I really excel in those situations. So this is really about looking at those activities and those things on your list and starting to think more about them and how that really impacts your actions in certain situations. And when you learn to leverage your strengths, you become more of who you really are. You start to identify better what makes you tick. And it also enables you to walk away from things that don't make you tick, because we want to invest in ourselves and level up ourselves, and stay away from activities and things that deplete us. Now, it doesn't mean we can't just, I don't like doing the dishes. I love to cook, but I hate to clean it up. And I still have to do that. And it's something that I don't like. So we're always going to have to do tasks and things that we don't like, even when we're living in our strengths. But you're going to get more energy to do those things when you're coming from a place of strength. And it's going to keep you going when your confidence slips, or when you feel intimidated by a situation or by a step you have to take towards achieving your goal. To have confidence in your strengths and confidence in your abilities will give you confidence to do hard things. It also frees up energy and frees up focus to allow you to develop your strengths and to allow you to develop those talents and abilities in which you shine, because you're not always focused on the broken and the bad, and it gives you freedom and ability to do what you do well even better. And I think he gives a good analogy in this book about sort of what this means. I think, and I agree with him, he says people are naturally good labelers. Like, you could probably come up with 5 things right away that you label yourself as being good at. Or think about it this way in terms of health. We know all the labels of being healthy. You have good blood pressure, low cholesterol, low body fat. There are labels that we know benchmark good health. However, without exercise, without the action part of it, it's just a label. So leveraging your strengths is about putting action behind the labels that we just created. This is where we get unstuck. This is where we get off the couch. So if you were sitting, I want you to stand up. Stand up and get out of the chair and get off the couch. Because we are learning how to make our strengths relevant in everything that we do. So I think we've reached a good place to stop when talking about our strengths. I have so much more to talk about, so we're going to stay on this topic for a while because, like I said, I love talking about strength management. I've given you a lot to think about today. I have so much more to share about our strengths, but let's just focus on getting clarity on what our real strengths are, what makes us tick. Get off your couch. We're taking the first steps. We're getting unstuck and we're leveling up. And that's awesome. So go out there, have an awesome day. Do something today that is actionable. Do something that is taking the first step towards achieving your goal in a positive, healthy manner. Have an awesome day. Cheers.